All right, so let's talk about why you haven't joined the tech industry, right? If you're watching this video, it's probably not the first one that you've seen where you've considered what it's like to work in tech, what it's like to get a job in tech, what it takes to get into tech, right? You've thought about it, you've done some research, you've gone back and forth, and I'm sure for multiple reasons, you still haven't pulled the trigger. Whether that's with going back to school or maybe going into a boot camp or even just self-taught. I know there's multiple reasons why you probably haven't done it, right? And I know that because I've been in that spot, right? I went back to school when I was 28, and this was after, mind you, dropping out of school, having horrible GPA, quitting multiple jobs in multiple industries. And I get it. It's very scary to take on something new and also something as daunting as the tech industry, right? Because that's what all these people make it out to be, right? That's kind of why I put this picture on here, right? I think this is very iconic of what people think working in the tech industry is like. Some guy, he's behind the computer, he's looking at a very cryptic coding language, he has dim lighting, he has his headphones, and somehow, some way, this very amazing human being just knows how to do it all, right? And again, that was very intimidating for me, and there was just something about that mental picture I had about people that were either developers or programmers or whatever you want to call them, that I thought, these people I thought back at the time that these people were so much smarter, so much more, talented, so much more driven. And I think to some extent, the fact that I didn't know anybody in the industry just kind of that's what allowed for me to keep that mental image, right? And just by consequence, it made me count myself out as somebody that could potentially get a job in that industry. So we're not here to talk about all the reasons why you've been discouraging yourself from making the jump, but rather we want to talk about how you can convince yourself and finally talk yourself into making that change, right? So again, there's the tech industry. Let's just right off the bat, let's just say it's a big industry. It's like anything else, and you need to realize that it's pretty unreasonable to just think that you're not good enough for it if you haven't even tried. And when people hear the tech industry or the tech world, they automatically think somebody programming, somebody behind the screen, somebody making the next Google right off the back of their head, right? But it's not like that at all. So I want you to think back of the previous jobs you've had, right? If you're like me, I had every job under the sun that I could get before I had a college degree or before I had any experience. And this was the medical industry, the restaurant industry. I was in sales, car sales. I did all this other stuff, right? But again, for any industry that I joined, there was always different jobs for it, right? So I'm not somebody that was I've never been somebody that's been interested in working for the restaurant industry, right? I have no passion for being a server. I have no passion for opening my own restaurant, becoming a cook. And yet I ended up doing a lot of those jobs earlier on, right? Now, given that there's a lot of demand for that, that's why, that's kind of like what you end up picking at the beginning of, when you're a young adult. But again, that just goes to show, right? Just like in the restaurant industry, there's people that serve, there's people that cook, there's people that do the maintenance for the restaurant, there's people that do the schedules for the employees, there's people that manage the finances. There's all these different aspects of the restaurant industry that contribute to having jobs in that, right? Not just because you work for the restaurant industry doesn't mean you're automatically a cook, doesn't mean you're automatically a server. And by that same token, just because you're in the tech industry, it doesn't mean you're a programmer just, coding everything for 16 hours straight throughout the night with the same song playing over and over again, right? No, there's many different tasks, there's many different jobs that you can do in the technology industry, right? So again, that's just kind of a little bit on that, right? So if that's true, right, that the tech industry is just as big as anything else, then it makes sense that you can find a job within this industry that's going to be a good fit for you. It's going to be a good fit for your skills, right? Now, a lot of people say that, the tech industry is dying, the tech is dead because of AI, this and that. But a lot of people really try to go for these, jobs that are very, not that there's a small amount of them, but everybody wants a job where they can make over 300K a year starting out. And that's honestly pretty unrealistic, right? But we'll get to that later. That's not the point we're trying to talk about. We're talking about you, right? Like, well, what's that voice in your head that's been telling you that you can't do this, that you're not capable of doing this, right? Well, I think some of that fear for me personally was that I didn't know if I was going to find a job that I liked, right? Something about me is that I've been somebody in the past that just hopped around between different jobs multiple times. Again, if I was bored, if I wasn't engaged. So I think also I wasn't sure if like, well, what if I commit to this, computer science programming thing and I end up not liking it? Well, here's just to show you, right? We're going to look at some stuff we kind of pulled from ChatGPT just to prove it to you, right? Now, I talk a lot about personality traits and the differences in personalities. We're not going to get into much detail about that, but whether you're somebody that you consider yourself introverted or extroverted, there's going to be a job in tech for you, right? Now, I have friends that they're very extroverted. They like being around people. And for them, they say that they don't know how, for the life of me, all I can do is sit behind the screen and just, type away or do Zoom meetings, right? Now, for me, I enjoy that. I don't mind being alone for big chunks of my day. I don't mind that I don't have to go into the office. I don't mind if I don't have too much human interaction with other colleagues, coworkers, that kind of stuff, right? But for some other people, they actually like that. They like being around their team. They like being around their colleagues, this and that. So whether you put yourself in what I think is like one of the main categories of your personality, right? Introverted, extroverted. Well, if you're somebody that's extroverted, there's somebody that focuses on sales. There's somebody that focuses on representing the business or managing the products or projects that you're going to be working on. There's basically people that focus on leading the team, guiding the team, communicating across teams, right? And again, having a technical background kind of gives you that upper hand for those kinds of jobs, right? Because you can like technology and you can also like working with people. And there's definitely roles that pay very well that focus on that area, right? That's everything on this right column, right? So Scrum Master, that's more if you're trying to get into project management, operations manager, product manager, marketing specialist. Now, if you're a little bit more like me and you would want to be in the tech industry because you're trying to be somebody that's, a little bit more isolated, a little more to yourself, doing your own work, minding your own business, great. There's a ton of jobs in that. There's software developers. So if you want to work on creating custom software for the business or whatever company you're working on, there's data analysts. So you won't be necessarily making things, but you do have to learn technologies to be able to like pull data, to be able to gather data, to be able to showcase that data properly and explain it to people that aren't as technically savvy, right? There's systems analysts, there's network engineers. So if you're somebody that you're trying to work a little bit more with the hardware aspect of it, right? You're not trying to get too much into the weeds of like programming, but you do need to have a technical background. Well, there's things like that. There's database administrator. If you're somebody that's a little more creative, and again, you want to be in technology, but you also want to have kind of like that creative role in there. There's people, what they call UX, UI designers, right? So you focus on the appearance of how some of these, projects are going to look, right? So there's definitely a lot of things that you could do if you did join the tech industry, right? So again, these are just asking ChatGPT, and again, I think based on the personality type that you have, which you could get a lot more information if you took a personality test, kind of like the Myers-Briggs test. If you took that test and you looked a little more into what your personality type is, then you're going to start making sense of why you've liked certain jobs in the past, why you've hated certain jobs in the past, why there's jobs that you think you would love to have, and why there's jobs that you would never even consider in your lifetime, right? And opening that door of taking a personality test and then doing something as simple as making a ChatGPT account and asking, hey, I have this personality type, what's a good job for me? Then you really have a pretty clear goal as far as what you could do and what you could accomplish in the tech industry that would be fulfilling and also pay you very well, right? So again, the reason why I kind of mentioned that is because I know a lot of these YouTube videos, what they focus on is, your guide to becoming a software developer, your guide to becoming a software engineer, your guide to becoming a, 6 figures, whatever, in software engineering and all this stuff. And I think all that's perfect. I think that advice helps a lot of people. But I know for me, I mean, considering that was even just like very daunting, very scary. It was a world I didn't know about, and all these things that were just names, and it all seemed very technical, and it all went over my head, and it just seemed like the thing that was for somebody else, maybe for everybody else except me, right? And again, if I was able to go back to school at 28, again, I didn't have the best GPA. I had dropped out of school multiple times. I had switched majors. I had done nursing. I had done mechanical engineering, and all those I didn't like. I hated them. I was miserable. That's why I would just drop out and go work, try to make money a different way. Again, it was a long journey to be able to get to where I am now, to get myself to make this decision to commit to the tech industry and be able to do well in it. Now, of course, it wasn't something that was easy. There were still many challenges that I faced, and I think that's the reason why I'm making this video and some of my other content, if you've seen it, right? So again, if you're somebody that you're considering starting out, it's something you've had in the back of your head, it's something that you've hesitated to pull the trigger on, I'm more than happy to help out. On the description, I'm gonna have a link. We can book a one-on-one Zoom call. We can discuss why you think you'd be a good fit, the things that you're considering. And again, this is just from the perspective of, I know the world is changing real fast. I know before I started, we didn't have things like ChatGPT. There wasn't nearly as many free courses as there are now. So I do think for somebody that really wants to join this industry, there's a ton of different tools, a ton of different free resources that you could use, that you could leverage in order to get into the industry. And again, I'd be more than happy to help anybody that needs a hand in that, right? And again, obviously it's because the subscriber count isn't astronomically high, so happy to help and happy to join others in their journey in the tech industry. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight on as far as what my journey was like, and I hope this pushes you into finally making that decision to find that job in the tech industry, because as much as you doubt it, as much as you don't want to believe it, there's definitely a job for you there, and I'm sure you do great at it. So thank you, and catch you in the next video.